You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously.
In today's climate, being safe is priority number one. With crime on the rise, we're all left with this magical question. How can I be safe and protect my family? Well, Professor Griff is offering a course that's similar to laser tag, but it's for adults. This safe and firearm-free course will train you in real-life scenarios so that you can avoid being a victim. This course is growing in popularity as a date night out. Add fun and excitement back into your love life, and the reviews are incredible. For more information, call this number below.
All right, greetings, fam. Greetings. All right, we got Doc on deck. Just waiting for my man to fire medic step up to the plate. All right, sorry for my tardiness, y'all. I got a phone call from one of the elders, and by right, yeah, he should have blasted me because derelict in my duty, for real. But I'm happy he did call me because he let me know that his operation went well. He's safe. He said he was in a little bit of pain, but he's all right. All right, so let's put up a Black Power fist of peace sign. Thumbs up to our good brother, our elder, Professor James Small. All right, Professor James Small. If you don't know who that brother is, look him up. Yeah, the brother. You talking about powerful? Yeah, the brother brought me a long, long way, man, from the Public Enemy days, all right, to present. All right, shout out to Quan. What's good with you, Quan? Our moderator. Little Goddess, what's good with you? All right, Little Goddess and Johnny Taylor, y'all like the ministers of information, for real. All right. Shout out to the Serious Minds family, Tito Saunders. Shout out to everybody that's on IG. All right, of course, y'all already know. This is Survival Wednesdays. We're going to be talking about how we're going to do this thing in real time. And I'm not going to belabor the point. We're going to bring our guests right on after word from our sponsors. We don't got no damn sponsors, so we're just going to jump right into it. Quan, what you got for me, man? Quan says, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, share, fam, and don't forget to hit the bell so you can be notified instantly when we come on, when they allow you to, because, yeah, they be doing some stuff, man, with these algorithms, for real. All right, if you would like to advertise your event or your business right here on Serious Minds RNTV, you can do so. Text me, 678-557-2919. If you need products like the Nassia oil, you can hit up www.devitribewellness.com. All right, if you can't find it on that website, just hit me up directly. I'll have some in stock over the weekend. All right, keep in mind, family, November 19th through the 21st, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, right into North Carolina. We're going to be doing the Welcome to the Terror Dome, No Retreat, Gun Retreat. Shout out to Rue, Miss Clark from the Buffalo Soldiers. If you want more information, go to my website, www.professorgriff.me. My phone number is 678-557-2919. And without any further ado, let's bring our guests on. Let's make it happen. All right, greetings. How y'all doing, man? What's good, bro?
Hey. All right, Griff. Good to go, brother.
Good to go.
Larry.
Hey, well,
Griff.
Talking about this whole situation that happened in St. Paul, Minnesota, a deadly mass shooting, I believe 3 days ago, at a bar. All right. And when I saw it, I said, okay, I checked it out. Then I had to wait for the next day so I could really watch it and get some more information. So at that time, they had already caught 3 people, and it was, had them in custody, wanted to question them. But when I went back over the information to look at the scene to see what was going down, it was 13, 14 people with injuries inside and outside. And I just said, wow, that sets up a whole different kind of new scenario. I mean, would y'all agree?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot of chaos.
Right. So much so that things are happening. We don't know how many shooters. You understand what I'm saying? It's happening inside, outside. I think the bouncers and the security guard caught one dude, and everything is happening all at the same time. So with that being the scenario, right? Hold on. I'm hearing too many feet stomping and bodies falling on the ground up there. So either they got a hearty laugh going on or something I need to look at. But I'm gonna turn this over to y'all for a few minutes. We're gonna walk through this kind of scenario together, and let's see how we can piece it apart and learn and take and pull the lessons from it. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In the meantime, yourselves in case people don't know, and I will be right back. All right.
Okay.
Hold on. Hold on. I'll be right back. Introduce
Take it away,
yourself.
Doc.
Okay. Yeah. For basically, my name is Dexter Pagans. The Doc is just a nickname. Like I always say, it's a carryover from the military. I was in the military in the U.S. Army for 23 years as a combat medic, and basically in the military, The medic is Doc. Doc is the medic to everybody, because basically that's the first care that person is going to receive. Primarily, be the first care provider once a person get hurt or injured, prior to them being evacuated to a more definitive care. My company, Still Standing LLC, formed a company back in 2012. So I've been at this for about 9 years now. Basically, my company specializes per se, specifically providing emergency medical care training, stop the bleed, and tactical emergency casualty care training to folks in the community. Basically, my thing is, empowering, individual to be a by-doer instead of a bystander. When something happens, having some basic skill to sustain life of that individual, be it yourself, until more advanced medical care arrives. So that's who I am. Larry?
Yeah, I'm Larry Penton. I am the CEO of Penton Pending Consulting Solutions LLC. I am a paramedic and a firefighter, retired last year. I still have an active paramedic license in the state of Missouri, which is where I'm from. My family and I, we relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina last year. Done just a ton of work in the last 14 years, primarily on the EMS side as an EMT and a paramedic. And we're just looking forward to teaching more people about how to deal with these active shooter incidents that aren't going anywhere. Every week, Doc and I and Griff, we're exchanging in our group text the latest active shooter breaking news, whether it be at a school, a grocery store, in this scenario that we're going to discuss tonight, a nightclub, and how that transpired, and where all the victims were, and how the Good Samaritans inside the club tended to those victims prior to the fire medics and PD arriving.
All right, so for the people that did not get the news, a lot of times, and this is something I'm going to address on another show, but I run into a lot of people that say, well, I don't watch the news. And I scratch my head. I just have to watch the news. I got to know if there's a rapist around the corner, because I have daughters. I got to know if there's a power outage, whatever. I got to know basic stuff. I don't really trust the people on the news, but I'm able to decipher what I need, all right, and extract what I need from the news. So for people, I hear people, I don't know, they wear a badge on their chest. I don't watch TV. Good luck for you. You understand? There's some things I need from the TV and the radio. I know how to decipher through the madness. But anyway, so let me share my screen, and let's just listen to a couple of the clips that they shared with us on what was actually happening in St. Paul, Minnesota. So I think 3 days ago, I think this is one of the ones that happened. This video may be inappropriate for some users. I understand tuition proceed, blah, 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 blah. Gotcha.
7th Street West, Truck Park Bar, on a shots fired. Multiple callers. Copy. 3 shots inside the bar. 1.
A horrifying scene unfolding inside a packed bar in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Copy. Starting at least 4 medics.
I got one fading here.
Police calling it one of the worst shootings the city has seen.
I heard the gunshots and I went to the ground and I could see 4 or 5 people that had been hit.
This is not the place to be right now. This is chaos.
Multiple suspects opening fire in this bar just after midnight. Cell phone video capturing some of the chaos unfolding inside.
There were gunshot wound victims lying in the street outside the bar. There were gunshot wound victims lying on the sidewalk outside the bar. And there were gunshot wound victims lying on the floor inside the bar.
More people over here too, bro. People are laid out.
Good Samaritans jumping in to help officers render aid. A total of 15 people shot, 14 rushed to the hospital. A 20-year-old woman tragically dying inside.
This is nothing short of a tragedy. Our hearts break for the young woman who died and for her loved ones.
A grieving family joined by an entire community. The chief of police taking to Twitter to say hearts are broken. Victims, families, community, and officers. We will bring justice to the victims. Earlier today, police arresting 3 suspects connected to the shooting as multiple law enforcement agencies work with St. Paul police to answer lingering questions. How did this happen and why?
Megan, do we know anything more about the 20-year-old victim?
All right, family, that's where we at. That's basically the scene. So that was 3 days ago. So since then, I think the police chief, the mayor, and a few other people are moving along with the investigation. But let's look at that scene in our minds. Multiple injuries, 15 people shot, 1 person lost their lives in different places, outside, inside, down the street, whatever. So, brothers, lay it out for me and let me know, how would you even begin to tackle that? Where do you begin?
So, with a scene like that, a bar, got gunfire going on the side. Outside of the injuries sustained from the people getting hit from the gunfire, you also probably will have, you probably have some folks probably get injured as well from people stampeding that door trying to get up out of there. Basically, everybody's going to be headed to the door. Those who are shot, those who are being helped out. And then, unfortunately, there's been cases in the past where you've had incidents where there's been like a shooting incident inside like a public space, and it caused like a stampede. So one of the things you don't want to happen is to get caught in that crowd as it's moving towards that exit. Everybody channeling to that exit. You mess around and fall, trip, you're going to get stampede. So maybe you don't get shot or hurt by the gunfire, but you get hurt by people running across your body, on your head, and everything else. So those folks who made it outside, and you get outside, you got people that are injured, laid around. That's where what we've been talking about lately over the past couple of weeks is really important, because one thing we know, and I'll shut up here shortly and let Larry chime in, and that is the response time of EMS is not going to be immediate. It ain't like they ran out the building or inside the building and right away you had the ambulance waiting on them. So while people are laid out on the ground, it doesn't appear like the threat is still ongoing. You got people hurt all over the place. That's when it's extremely important that you have people that are trained, especially like what we've been talking about the past couple of weeks, and some basic techniques on how to control that bleeding until that EMS and that advanced medical care shows up on the site. That's what saves lives. So Larry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna, like I always do, just add to what you said. When there's an incident, people have to understand how EMS works. Years and years and years ago, EMS would get a call and they would immediately run to the scene. They didn't care what was going on. A lot of EMS workers got hurt, injured, and even killed because they would just go on scene, no matter if it was a shooting, stabbing, whatever. Well, that changed because we don't want to be injured as responders. So what we do now, and I'm not saying just now, but as of I can't remember how far back, but right offhand, but we do what's called staging. And what that means is when we get a 911 call, our dispatcher, either verbally and or either through a smart device, be it a laptop, a tablet, a smartphone, we get all the call information on where to go, maybe some patient information, maybe the number of patients or what have you. But if it comes out as a gunshot incident or something like that, EMS is going to go and respond to the call because you have a duty to respond. But they're not going to show up right on scene. They'll be 2 blocks one way and 2 blocks the other way, staging for the police to clear the scene to make sure it's safe for them to go on scene. It doesn't matter if it's one person that's shot, if it's 15 people, you could be shooting out blood out of your body like a volcano. If that scene is not secure, EMS is not going to go on scene until it's cleared by police. And so some people may either get further injured, they may even die because of that staging policy. And it may sound cruel, it may sound harsh, but that's just the reality of how EMS works now. And so we'll get into what happened in a few minutes with the Good Samaritans as well as the EMS crews that arrived on the scene.
Right.
But that's kind of just the start of what I want people to put their mindset in, why EMS did not immediately get hands on patients.
Right. So it says, as of Monday, 2 men were charged in connection with the mass shooting in St. Paul's bar that left 1 innocent patron dead and 14 others wounded early Sunday morning. Terry Lorenzo Brown, 33, was charged with 1 count of intentional second-degree murder in the killing of Markeisha D. Wiley, 27 years old. 27, man, of St. Paul. Brown was also charged with 11 counts of attempted second-degree murder. Devondre Trayvon Phillips, y'all know who that is. Whenever you see a name like Jaquavius, fucking whatever, yeah. 29 faces, 12 counts of attempted second-degree murder. They're giving out basketball numbers, man. Yeah, for real. The criminal charges against Brown and Phillips say dispute over a woman broke out. Dispute over a woman. The dispute over a woman. Let's make that clear. Broke out as they were standing at the truck park bar, and video cameras were recording the entire scene. The complaint says the companion of Brown approached Phillips, who shot him in the stomach. Somebody was with some chick who was probably creeping with the other dude, and rather than using your verbal judo, pulled out a gun and began shooting, injuring 14 people and killing 1. Wow. So now let's get back to the scene. So now you got multiple people shot. Don't know where they're shot at. Some people bleeding out. Like you said, some people probably got trampled. Some people passed out. All right. So how do you do that? Do you focus in on whomever's close to you, who you think has the most or severe injury? How do you do that? And then what do you do? Because it's not like you're going to pull out an IFAC. You in a club having a good time.
Right.
And here I go. And maybe the manager's office has a medical kit on the wall behind the door by the exit side. I don't know. But I'm saying, how do you deal with that, gentlemen?
So in a case like that, you probably going to have some folks who are going to be just standing back watching, maybe in shock or, just going through some emotional stuff, not really, just taking in what just happened. You're going to have, that's what we call the bystanders. And they might not be there bystander because they want to be. Maybe that's just their mental state at that time, emotional, psychological state at that time. They're not really prepared to help anybody. Then you're going to have those who are engaging, those who are basically doing whatever they can, and so as far as the care they're going to be able to provide is going to really be within the boundaries of their training, because we always say that, naturally you revert back to your training. When there's a situation going on, it's almost like the muscle memory type stuff. You're going to revert back to that training. So depending on the level of training or what type of training, maybe they've had some basic CPR, first aid training, maybe they've had stop the bleed training, but you're going to have those folks who are going to just jump in and because you got people all over the place, you'll have multiple people doing multiple things all at one time, and what they're doing is basically, like I said, within the limitations of their training, what they feel comfortable in doing. A lot of times it's just chaos where you don't have any one particular person like taking charge, where like trying to organize the response is like initially it's like, hey, how can I help? How can I jump in? And then, so you get that uncontrolled response. So yeah, that's what you're going to have initially until things kind of start to settle in a little bit. You might have someone who will step forward who may have a little bit, you might have had a doctor in the crowd, an EMT who was in the bar, but somebody hopefully who will have like that take charge and be able to get a more organized type of response going on until EMS and law enforcement shows up on the scene.
So do you as someone like yourself that is experienced, do you then start delegating to people that you don't know? Listen, you made a tourniquet, you put it on this individual, they bleeding now. Do you tell this person, look, keep the pressure here, da 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 da? Do you do that?
So, someone who's kind of trained, I mean, and I would just say this, you can have training, but not really be that skilled and organized. Some people, they just don't, they're trained, but they don't have that natural leadership type stuff where they can take charge, that take charge attitude. I'll say that. They have the training, they know how to do it themselves, but maybe they're not skilled enough to delegate others. But like in referencing myself, or say like somebody like Larry, yes, that's exactly what I would do. I would initially say, hey, if you got somebody around you who's hurt, get some pressure on. If you see some bleeding right now, get some pressure on it. Okay, right now, get pressure on them bleeding on those holes. And then that person, be it me or someone who has that skill, then you want to go around and do what we call triaging. And basically, you're kind of like assessing. You can move around yourself, or like Larry mentioned last week, what we call start triage, where you can give out certain verbal commands, will kind of give you a general idea of what category as far as injury or state that person may be in. But I could actually move around person to person and say, okay, all right, hey, let's get a tourniquet on this guy. Okay, move to the next person. Okay, this guy right here, let's get a chest seal on him. So you're doing like a rapid assessment of those individuals as you move around. And then if you have someone else who with you who also has that type of training, y'all can work as a team. So it ain't just you moving around. If you guys say, hey, is there anybody else out here that's a trained medical person? Any doctors out here? Any nurses? Any paramedics? And if any of those folks respond, then you guys work together as a team to do that triage where you're providing that additional care as you move from person to person. Yeah.
Right. And your take on Larry, your take on that?
Yes. There was a lot of reports that I read where they pretty much gave out the same information about the shooting. And one of the things that I saw in one online article was they said there was a lot of debris, a lot of bloody bandages, and a lot of like plastic cups that were found outside because there were victims found inside the club, outside the club. Most of the injuries, and I took a bunch of notes, and I pretty much researched every news story that came out about it. So most of the injuries that were documented were ankles, arms, stomach, legs. The young lady that was killed, one report said she got shot in the chest. Another report said she got shot in the back. And they were saying that she was shielding somebody else because when the two gentlemen got into the gunfight, they either fell down or something like that. And so they started firing from a prone position. That's why most of the injuries were in the lower extremities. And everybody just kind of spilled outside. So most people got hurt, I believe, inside, but there were some that actually got hurt outside also. As far as the start triage, me being at that place at that time, as Doc said, I'm not carrying an IFAC or a first aid kit per se in a club when I'm just going there to have a drink or chill out or what have you. However, in my EMS mindset, I'm thinking about start triage. So there's basically 4 categories that you talk about, and they're based on the color algorithm. So green is the walking wounded. Everybody that's okay, and you can talk and move and all that stuff, you might be a little shooken up, kind of move over to the side so we can start assessing people. The people that are injured, we start going down that list. So yellow would be a delay. So if you got like a bad cut, maybe you got a broken arm for being trampled or something like that. You're still alive and well, but you have maybe a significant injury or something like that. Not something that you need to go to the ER for right now, in terms of a life threat. Then we start getting into the life-threatening color, which is red. So that's an immediate transport, and I call it the big five. So somebody with chest pain, shortness of breath, altered mental status, a lethal bleed, or they're unconscious, not unresponsive. Well, maybe even unresponsive, because in a situation like that, especially when you got, and we would consider that an MCI, a mass casualty incident, because you have 2 or more patients, so you need more resources to show up to help out.
Right.
You're not going to be probably able to do CPR on a bunch of people. So anybody, like, there are certain things that we would do to, see if I do a head to the chin lift and open their airway, does that make them breathe? I check it for maybe 30 seconds or something like that. Some people are going to get marked in the black, which is beyond care or a morgue patient, because again, you have so many patients, and if they have these fatal injuries, there's not going to be a whole lot that you can do because you're not going to be able to focus on maybe all of them, especially with GSWs. So those are just things that I would think about if I'm there at that situation. And as Doc said, are you a doctor? Yes. Do you have a medical doctorate, or are you a doctor of philosophy?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because I've run into that on the street many, many times where I'm on the ambulance and, I'm treating a patient on the street, and somebody come up to me and say, I'm a doctor. And I'm like, okay, can I see your medical card? And they're like, oh, I'm a doctor of education or something. I'm a principal at a school. Sir, can you stand back a little bit? Now I may get them to help me if I need CPR on this person or something like that. Every 2 minutes you want to rotate. But other than that, you look for anybody that has some type of medical training. It could be a medical student, it could be a CNA, it could be anybody that has some medical training. They don't have to be active. They could be retired like Doc and I are,
Right.
But you just want somebody that can that kind of knows what they're doing.
So basically, do you actually really, I'm not trying to be facetious, or you actually check someone's card, or you in the midst of trying to help someone save a life? I don't give a fuck whether you got the green card or the blue one, what date is on it, whether it's stamped or not. I'm like, bro, I need some help. Can you? You're a doctor. Good. Come on. You understand what I'm saying?
I've done that when I was working in the field. I'm just saying, I was just giving you an example of my experience working on the street. That was one of the things that I would do if I asked somebody for help, because sometimes, especially I've worked for a private EMS service. Sometimes on the advanced life support call, it's just my partner and myself. If we got more than one patient, I got to call in and say, hey, I need everybody and their mama to show up here. I need more trucks and more crews or whatever. In the meantime, I need to find out who can help me. And so that's maybe one of the things that, we're trained to ask if somebody says that they're a doctor, because sometimes doctors want to take over patient care, and they can do that, providing that they are a medical doctor.
Right.
So that's why I bring that up.
No, I got you.
Yeah, and I would just say that in a scenario like that, especially while you wait for EMS to show up on site, or like Larry said, they're in a staging area waiting for law enforcement to come clear to deem the area safe for them to move in and start providing care. So so basically at that point, you're pretty much dependent upon those other bystanders, those other people that was in the club. And we know when it comes to mass casualty, an incident like that, your first priority, even if they don't have any kind of medical training, you tell them, hey, if you see some blood coming out, get some pressure on it. And the reason I say that is because, your number one priority in the trauma is stopping the blood loss, controlling that bleeding. Then the second priority is airway, make sure they got an open airway, and which might just be a simple head tilt chin lift, open up the airway. And if they're not breathing, then of course you're going to be doing some CPR. But your initial thing is, your number one priority is looking and trying to find them holes to make sure that person ain't bleeding to death. So if I have a non-medical person, I could say, hey, get your t-shirt, get your towel, get some pressure on that bleeding and hold it. Okay, hold it there. Don't let off. That might be all they end up doing. That might be the extent of the care they provide and are going to be able to provide, or you be able to provide because of the number of people until that EMS shows up on site.
Right. Do you focus in on that one individual, or are you focusing here, but your head is on swivel looking for who else needs help? How does that work?
So like mass casualty incident, you cannot just focus. And that's really, depending on your level of training, like Larry being paramedic EMT and myself having that background, right away, we do like what they call a rapid patient assessment. We looking for certain things. You look for those things, you treat what you treat, and you move on. You don't continue getting fixated, or you got somebody who's there. You say, hey, continue keeping pressure on this. Okay, continue to monitor this guy, and then you move on to that next person if you're operating in that manner. Because like I said, you got 14 people laid out on the ground. Some of them on the outside, some of them on the inside. So if you stay outside and your total focus is what's going on outside, for example, because you done got fixated on that one or two people, you've missed them other three or four that's still inside the club dying on you. And everybody else then left out the club. Everybody evacuated. Everybody got up out of there. So you don't know if there's someone inside the club trying to help these folks, or if those folks is laying inside on the club floor bleeding to death.
Well, we thank the dude for doing the commentary with the cell phone, filming it, but yeah, it's like, bruh, somebody could possibly use your help, man. And you we thank you for that, but come on, bruh. You understand what I'm saying? At this point, people are lying out, bleeding out, and dying on the street and in the club. And he's walking around, this is a place you don't want to be. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. Go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry, brother.
Oh, that's okay. I will say that, he was kind of the anomaly. He was the exception to the rule, because most of the people that were uninjured, and there may have been some that may have been slightly injured, some of those walking wounded in that green algorithm, helped out tremendously until EMS was cleared to arrive. To the fire medics from St. Paul were actually able to get on scene and continue rendering aid and treat and transport those injured folks. The young lady that was shot, she was dead on arrival, so she may have probably died instantly from her gunshot wound. But I think that in that scenario, being in the club, again, you don't have probably a lot of first aid kits available in the nightclub. So you got to grab whatever you can grab. If it's just a bunch of Band-Aids in there, okay. Somebody got a jerry curl and they got a wave cap on. Hey, I might have to use that plastic cap for a chest seal. If you got somebody that has, something that you can rip, or like some clothes or something like that. Hey, most people are not going to be able to carry knives in the club because they're going to check you for that stuff. But, there might be a knife behind the bar that they use to cut up some citrus for drinks and stuff or whatever. So there's different things that you can use because you turn into a MacGyver. And so if I'm there and if Doc's there, we're going to be coming up with all kinds of stuff that people might be like, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about using something like that. I can rip up some jeans, and some strips. And I got some samples here. This is a seam of some jeans that I ripped up. And you can just take these and make a windlass with anything, a screwdriver. You can pin, a couple of pins or something like that, and make a tourniquet high and tight on these injuries. Like I said, most of them were in the lower extremities. So those are just things that I try to keep in mind when I'm going out somewhere, because I just never know where something's going to happen. And nowadays, it's not a question of if it's going to happen, but when. And what are you going to do?
Let me say something in reference to what you said. Now, you said you might not be able to get a knife in there, but for somehow they got guns in the place. So you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, and there's always a knife behind the bar.
There's always a knife behind the bar.
My daughter, she trains and teaches bartenders to be bartenders. Okay. There's always a knife.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, because they're always cutting up like lemons and limes and other, oranges and citrus for, garnishments for drinks. So there's always knives there at the club. A lot of clubs have kitchens where they, cook and serve food too. So you can, if you need to get an improvised chest seal, all you need is some saran wrap. If they got a kitchen in the back, or even if they don't, they got towels there, because they're drying their hands, they're using them to dry the glasses and different things like that. So you got a bunch of supplies readily available to treat some of these injuries. You just have to be mindful of what's going to be more important for you to look at. And again, you can't just focus on one person because you got multiple victims. Right. That's where it gets kind of, you start trying to decide what's more important. Is it more important to resuscitate this person or stop this bleed? And I always say stop the bleed first, because if you don't have any blood, there is no amount of chest compressions that's going to keep this person alive. Right. All right. Now, we got this event coming up after the first 48 seconds. After the first 48, December 12th at 7 p.m. It's a Zoom meeting. Let's just kind of go over that real quick and let them know what we're going to be physically demonstrating and explaining. I'll put the flyer up on the screen. Hold on for a second. And so after the first 48 seconds, of course, Dexter Doc Piggins is going to be from Still Standing LLC. It's going to be dealing with a myriad of things, along with Larry Penton and myself. We're going to be dealing with a myriad of things. So do me a favor, just real briefly, explain what you guys are going to offer that evening. What happened to you, Doc?
So basically, looking at the flyer, some of the areas that I'm going to be covering, actually, I'm going to have video demonstrations. So you can actually, as I'm talking about it, you'll actually see the technique or whatever it is that I'm referencing at the time. But I'll be covering Stop the Bleed, which is basically what we're talking about right now. Those things that you can do to provide control so the person basically ain't bleeding to death. Got an injury here, what is it you need to do? Okay, I'm going to show you how to put on tourniquets, show you how to apply chest seals. I'm going to demonstrate how to do what we call wound packing, where in those areas that you cannot put a tourniquet on, but you do have life-threatening bleeding going on. We will actually demonstrate that and show that in a video format. In addition to that, I want to talk about the individual first aid kit. The importance of that. I can't see that other one. Script. What's the one below that Stop the Bleed? Trying to see that right there.
Ones of medication.
Okay, yeah. So I'll cover in that area. Importance of medication. We're going to talk about the importance of medication, especially during times of what we're going through right now with what we call the supply chain management issues, or in the event we should have something taking place in the country where we have civil unrest, or it can be that, it can be a long-term power outage. Basically talk about also we going into the flu and that other thing season. So, you might have a situation where you need certain medication, cold, severe cold, cough, in addition to prescription medication, having that stuff on hand. So in the event something is taking place in which you cannot get that stuff, that medication rather, not stuff, it's not going to be life-threatening. For example, if you need insulin and you done ran out of insulin, but because we got a power outage is in the middle of the winter and everything is closed, hey, that might be a death sentence for you or somebody in your family. Okay. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about as regards to that. And IFAC, just talk about some of the things that everyone should have inside their IFAC, no matter who you are, what the situation is. There's some basic pieces of equipment that should be inside that IFAC, that individual first aid kit that's going to be designed to treat life-threatening bleeds from trauma injuries. And then the last thing I'm going to be talking about is going to be the tactical emergency casualty care. And basically, tactical emergency casualty care is like a one step above stop the bleed. Tactical emergency casualty care is kind of more geared towards those folks who are employed like in law enforcement. They might be doing executive protection or some kind of personal protection type work where they have a higher probability of finding themselves in a more high threat or active threat type environment. Basically, for example, if somebody gets shot, we talk about getting that or someone gets hurt in an engagement, getting that person off the X, basically getting them off of that target point where all that energy is being directed, be it bullets or whatever. You want to get them off that X and move them to a covered position where you can provide medical care. So when we talk about tactical, we talk about operating in a tactical environment. And in most cases, that means you're probably operating in a high threat or high threat probability type environment. So that's what I'm going to be talking about during my portion of that training.
All right. And you, Larry?
Yes. So I'm going to be dealing with first responders, giving information about the different levels of first responders, from just your what we call first call responders or your bystanders to your certified and licensed responders, be it your dispatchers or emergency medical dispatchers, your multiple levels of EMTs, your EMT basics, your EMT intermediates, your EMT paramedics like myself. We'll be talking about police officers. We'll be talking about, other individuals that have either some type of medical training, like even a school nurse or an RN or an LPN or doctor or NP or PA. All of those people can be looked upon as first responders. Also talking about first aid and CPR, because we can show all the different IFACs that are available, as well as IFACs that people have put together themselves. But if you don't know what to do with this equipment, if you don't know how to properly use it, it's pretty much useless. So we're going to talk about how to properly administer first aid, not only what to have in your IFAC, but how to properly use it and how not to use it, or what's the contraindications of using it. Like a contraindication would be you're not going to put a tourniquet on somebody's neck if they have a gunshot wound, because you're going to kill them, because you're going to restrict their airway. You only put them on limbs, and it's just like you're not going to pack a head injury, or you're not going to pack a gunshot wound to the chest, because those things are going to cause the person to be severely injured and probably dead. So we'll talk about first aid. We'll talk about CPR, how to properly do it, how not to do it. Now, we're not certifying people in CPR. We're just showing you what's proper, what's not proper, the rate, depth, and all those things. And also, we're going to talk about proper gear and mindset, which really, to me, delves into how do you prepare yourself for a situation that you may just run across because you were at the store, you were at the nightclub, there was a shooting in Memphis, in the Memphis area. 3 postal workers were killed. I just read about that today and I sent it to you guys. What do you do if you're at work and you start hearing gunfire inside or whatever? So part of what we're doing with these Survive in Real Time is we got to get people to understand that again. And I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to keep on. It's not a question of if, you're going to be involved in an active shooter / hostage event. It's a matter of when. And so, and what you should have, or what can you have as far as improvising stuff, because again, you're not going to always have an IFAC or a first aid kit available. So those are the things that I'm going to bring to the table, and we'll all collaborate on those things too.
Right, and I think what I'm going to lend to that particular discussion, beyond hosting it and bringing these two gentlemen in that environment that evening, is dealing with situational awareness. The whole idea of just being, even if you're in that club in St. Paul, you can still be aware, awake and aware. You understand what I'm saying? You can keep your head on swivel while you're having a good time. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Conflict avoidance. What went on between those two gentlemen that they could have avoided that back in the day? We used to say, yo, man, let's take it outside. Remember that?
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah, definitely. They didn't have to go with the craziness on the inside.
Exactly. It says, yo, meet me outside. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know what that was. Maybe it's a certain kind of code or whatever, but let's take it outside. Or I'm gonna deal with this after the club. Because so I'm going to talk about conflict avoidance. I'm talking about the idea of training safely. And that's a big thing of mine. I used to brag about the students that I've had in martial arts, that none of them got injured while they were training. Now, I'm not talking about just sore muscles, and I'm not talking about an occasional sprain every now and then. I'm talking about the heavy stuff. Yeah, no one's getting injured while they're training, because literally that stops your training.
Exactly.
So the responsibility of being a firearms owner is what I'm going to cap that off with, and it's going to be a very exciting thing. It's December 12th at 7 p.m. That's December 12th at 7 p.m. I'm going to revamp this flyer because I'm actually going to put the day. We got the date and the time, but I want to put the day so people will know. It's a Zoom call, so you could check this out in the comfort of your own home. If you miss it, all right, you can get the replay. All right? You can get the replay. It's only $45. All right? Remember, December 12th, mark that date, 7 p.m. And, of course, this is after the first 48 seconds. All right, let me get my screen back. So I talked to Larry earlier, Doc, and he had got the book in, dealing with countering mass shooter threats, a comprehensive playbook for every house of worship, school, business, and family in America. We got to understand the mindset of the people who put the book together. And what is it that they foresee or even see or have experienced that we don't see? And be able to pull from this to be able to educate people as we move forward. Very, 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 very good book. But I think some of the things in it that they failed to implement that particular night is using all of the important magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was in the very back. It's like one of the last chapters, because it's like 190 pages. It was like on page 183.
Right. I thought about you, Doc, when I was going through it, dealing with these particular injuries that you got to deal with on the spot. And like Larry always say every week, you got to turn into MacGyver, man. You got to use whatever is at your disposal.
Exactly.
Having access to a tourniquet and knowing how to use it is two different damn things. I've learned that from y'all.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a wealth of knowledge in the book, man, and they give you serious examples in the book, and they go over training indoor and outdoor, whether it's at a football field or soccer game or hockey game, or hell, after the Eagles won one Super Bowl one year, them fans took to the street and they were destroying stuff, man.
That's right.
The question I want to ask your father, I guess I got to save it for next week because we only got 5 minutes left, and I want you to give the people your information on how to contact you and how to donate to your cause. All right, so as with 5 minutes left, let the people know how they can contact you, give them whatever information that you need them to have, and then we'll end on that.
Okay. Once again, my name is Dexter, Doc Pagans. I can be reached if you're interested in reaching me. But anyway, I can be reached via email, and then my email is stillstanding7@gmail.com. That's STEELSTANDING7@gmail.com. Follow me if you on Instagram. You want to follow me. On Instagram, I'm still.standing. Same thing. STEELSTANDING, still outstanding on Instagram. And also on the 23rd of October in Atlanta, at probably one of the, I would like to say it's probably one of the best shooting ranges. Shout out to my buddies over there at Stoddard's Indoor Range. But anyway, on the 23rd of October, from 11 to 3, Stoddard's Indoor Range in Atlanta, Georgia. Going to be teaching a Stop the Bleed class. So if you're interested in coming out and checking it out, you can go to my website, register for the class. My website is www.stillstandingllc.com. 4 hours, some good, valuable, life-saving training is going to be taking place. So that's who I am, and that's what I'm doing.
Right. So it's a 4-hour class on basically just stop the bleed. Is that correct?
And actually, mine is actually to be totally honest, mine is really more than just stop the bleed, because the average stop the bleed that a lot of the folks conduct locally, it's like a 1-hour class. But mine actually is a combination of stop the bleed with some additional medical skills that you will probably find in the tactical emergency casualty care class that's not normally covered in Stop the Bleed. So I would say mine is advanced. There's no such thing, but it's an advanced Stop the Bleed class, because I cover more than just the traditional Stop the Bleed class. That's why it's 4 hours long. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And you, Mr. Larry Penton, sir.
Yes, I can be reached at my website. It's Penton Pending. So www.pentonpending.com. All my social media links are on there. My Cash App is $ Penton Pending CS, as in Charles Sam LLC. Again, Penton Pending CS LLC. My email address is consultingsolutions@pentonpending.com. All our information is listed on the site. I'm looking forward to meeting you both in October on the 23rd. I know you won't be able to be there the whole time, Griff, but I'm looking forward to meeting you guys at the Stop the Bleed training that Doc's giving.
Right.
And we're definitely just going to be doing a lot more of this stuff, because, again, it's not a matter of if, but when some incident like this is going to happen, and how are you going to be prepared for that situation?
Right. Okay, cool. All right. It's Professor Griffin. Of course, you already know this is Serious Minds are in TV, and on Wednesday nights at 9:00 we do Survive in Real Time. We take these scenarios that go on in actual real life and kind of go over them and piece them apart and pull from them some of the things that we need to kind of get under our belt and under our caps, man, so we can kind of learn how to handle these situations. Because Larry, you're absolutely correct. It's not, and Doc, you're absolutely correct also. It's not a matter of if, when is it going to happen? It may not happen directly to you, but a minute ago, I would never think that 8 people that I know would die all in the same year, but they have. People that I know by name. You understand what I'm saying? And we're living in a very critical time. So let's get this information, let's get this training so we can move forward. Thank you, gentlemen, both. Really appreciate you guys. And we'll talk over the next few days, but I will definitely see you guys on the 23rd. I'll be in the building. I have dad and granddad duties that day, so because the next day I'm teaching a firearms class at the Georgia firing line. All right, I'll see you guys. Thank y'all very much. All right, peace, man. Take care.
Larry, take care, gentlemen. Y'all have a good night.
All
Peace and
right,
blessings.
take care.
All right, no doubt.
All right, take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Up next, I will be on Brother Richard's show tonight in a few minutes. Matter of fact, now I got to get off here so I can dive in to that conversation they're having over there. All right, love you all to life, fam. This is Professor Griff, and I am out. Serious minds attract serious minds seriously. Peace.
You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously.